And welcome to another 2-minute warning live from the Brass Rail downtown Detroit. My name is Stick. To my left, to your right, his name is Anson Wells. Anson, how you feeling today?
Feeling like it's a new year, but not feeling great about the Lions.
Yeah, so this has been pretty much an epic beatdown of the Lions. Not too much good to take out of this game, except for that they were down a lot in the first half, and they came out in the second half, and we're actually showing some signs of life. They're showing that not-quit attitude that they've shown all year long. But to me, this game had the taste of, like, we're tapping out. The season's over. We know we're not going to do anything. Like, this is just kind of I don't know. This game just didn't have any intensity to me.
See, I didn't feel so much that they kind of gave up. I felt like they were exposed today. Their lack of talent finally caught up with them, but they didn't give up all game. You know, even with 5.5 minutes left, you see Seattle up 16, and instead of just kind of going for it on fourth down, thinking that they could salt it away, they're like, we need a field goal here. You know, this is a ridiculously resilient team, and whether it was in week 5 being resilient or week 15, and today they, again, were resilient, I thought. Didn't really do much for them, but it kept them in the game. It at least made it interesting still in the fourth quarter. I kept thinking I could tune away all game long, and then they kind of stayed around. You know, they just wouldn't take a hint today.
Yeah, they reeled you back in a couple times, and I'll give you that. You know, throwing touchdowns to Taylor Decker and stuff like that. That's fun.
Second career.
There's a little bit of playfulness going on, but at the end of the day, this is a curb stomping. Like, we didn't stand a chance at any point in this game, really. The closest we got was 16. And that's not really something you want to build your foundation around. Is we were close at being down 16.
We were close at kickoff.
Yeah, we were close at kickoff. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Thank you guys for being a part of the postgame show. Like we said, we do it from the Brass Rail right here, downtown Detroit. And let's see. The score right now is 51-29. And it looks like
got a little worse.
Seattle is about to score. They're down at the 1-yard line. There's 1:40 left in the game, and that's why we went live, the 2-minute warning. This isn't going to be one of those exciting where we're on the edge of our seat.
No.
We're not going to get beat by a last-second field goal, but we're also not going to have a last-second pass. Just not a – I mean, this game was just ugly.
The fact that Seattle's still playing as hard as they are kind of tells you that – the Lions aren't giving up, and they know it. So I'm actually kind of impressed with the Lions today. Even though they looked terrible, at no point has this team lost the players' attention. You know, they're still coming out, and they're putting it on. You know, they're putting their pads on and really trying to compete each and every week. And this is the kind of week where you see teams start to mail it in, and they haven't. They're still playing their guts off, even though they're
but where was that in the first half? I mean, they didn't start playing their guts out till the second half. So, like, where was that?
They're just not that good.
I get they're not that good. And honestly, I've learned that anytime Tim Boyle is starting a football game, we're going to lose. Like, he's not
for sure.
He's not good. And everybody who called for him over Goff, you know, early in the season, and I think we fell into that trap at one point. Like, we got to make a change. Let's try something else. No. You're a backup for a reason. You weren't the number 1 pick for a reason. And not saying Goff is heads and tails and super elite, but he is heads and tails and super elite compared to a Boyle.
And he can make plays beyond 20, 25 yards down the field, which none of our other backups have the wherewithal to be able to do. And it really just absolutely limits your options and puts so much pressure on your offensive line and your run game. And what we've seen with these 2 weeks without Goff is the absence of that run game. Doesn't matter how mauling our offensive line has become, there was no run game today at all.
No, not unless you were Seattle. I mean, Rashard Penny ran all over us. You have like 172 yards and 2 touchdowns, and we do have the 27th ranked defense against the run in the league. And it was funny because Fox throws that graphic up on the screen. The next play, boom, 25 yards. Like, oh.
Can we add him to like the list of Matt Flynn's, you know, the career game against the Lions?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, hopefully he gets a $40 million contract next year on the stake of the Lions. And honestly, that's something we may run into next week against the Packers again, you know, because they may be playing for nothing next week. They already have their position locked in. They already had the division locked down.
Oh, man.
So we may lose to Jordan Love next week here at home. But first, before that, I want to make sure that everybody comes down here to the Brass Rail next week and watches the game with us because it's the last one of the season. I feel like we're friends, spending every post game with each other, whether you guys been watching on Twitter or on YouTube, just like tweeting us, texting us, doing all of that stuff. So let's have some good times next week. No matter what, it should be good times down here at the Brass Rail. Whenever there's a home game, it's wild down here. This
season has been fun.
Yeah.
Somehow. For how, this is definitely the most intriguing 2-win team that I've ever seen. I believe that there's a lot of Lions fans that are looking forward to that last game and coming downtown and sending these guys off the right way because these guys did bust their ass all season.
But they didn't quit. There were only like 2 games that they really got outclassed. You can kind of add this to it, I would say. I mean, 51-29. That's an ass.
This one's one of the bad ones.
Yeah, this is one of those where you didn't show up. Like you weren't prepared coming in.
However, the attitude and resiliency of this Lions team throughout the season has to sit well with Detroiters. These guys were hard work and blue collar all season, and we definitely saw improvement. We saw, I think, more wins than a lot of us thought we'd see around Week 8. So I think it's going to be a great day down here next Sunday. I'm actually really, really looking forward to it. I'm kind of bummed out because I've had a blast doing this with you, but I think Detroit is going to show out on Sunday, so you should too.
And it's time. Like, this season needs to...
Yeah.
Like you know, when they're at the Oscars, like a wrap it up. We need the wrap it up sign. Like, start playing the music. Let's just get this season over with. It was Dan Campbell's first season. In retrospect, we can look at a lot of mistakes that he made, but we can also look at some very good moments for the team. So, to me, if I'm giving Dan Campbell a grade so far on this season,
let's hear some grades.
Like a B-.
B-? It's
not failing, but, you know, it's also not being great. I think hopefully he learned some things this year about fourth down management.
You still got some of the holiday spirit going on, don't you?
Why? You think it's worse than a B-?
You can't give anybody a B.
B-.
I don't
B-.
care. You can't escape at the C zone
if
you have 2 wins.
Well, what did you expect from him?
More than 2 wins.
Vegas put us over under at 5, right? So
we failed.
No, that's not failing. We're percentage almost there. We're like a B. We're 40% there.
Yeah, I can't give anybody a B when they've got 2 wins.
So what would you give?
No way. I'd probably give him a flat-out C.
Okay.
Just a flat-out C. Because his first half of the season, you know, as much as he competed, he didn't find a way to win those games against Baltimore and others. But he's certainly improved. You know, I guess the jury's still out on him. You know, it's give the kid for a C his first semester in college and see if he can come back and stay in school, you know?
I mean, at least he didn't fail out.
Hey, that's what you get
Urban Meyer this bitch
for, you know, man. And would you have thought that at the beginning of the season that if one of these guys wouldn't even make it through the year, it would be Meyer over Campbell?
Oh, yeah, I would have never thought that. Never.
No,
Who had a bigger flame out this year, Antonio Brown or Urban Meyer?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Did you see Antonio Brown today?
I've heard a little bit about it.
There he is, shirtless, just leaving the field. Halftime, by the way, or a little left in the third quarter. He threw his shirt, he threw his gloves, he threw everything into the stands. And they're saying it's because the Buccaneers weren't playing him, so he couldn't reach his bonus money. Like, he was like 5 receptions away from an extra $333,000. He was 54 yards away from an extra $333,000. He was 1 touchdown away from an extra $300,000.
That's some Belichick type stuff right there.
But you know what? Why do you reward that guy? Like, what has he done for your team all season?
I'm not a fan.
I'm going to spend an extra $1 million because you've been a jackass all season?
I'm not a fan. But, I mean, don't they kind of need him at this point in the season?
Does Tom Brady need any wide receiver?
That's true.
Of note?
That's a good point.
I mean, they're just going to find some 5'8" white dude on the street and throw him in there. He's going to catch 11 balls for 150 yards.
The punter.
The punter. People are... YT Sparty says an A+ against Arizona, F- against Seattle. And that's pretty much it. B-, Mr. Poole agrees with me, B-. Patty Grimes, C-. Dave Toppins believes with you, Anson, C grade. Patty Grimes also C-.
Is there
lots of
such
C's.
a thing as a negative F? I thought it was just an F there. He's going sub F, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
F-.
F-. Yeah, failing is failing, but now you're a minus failing.
It's a rough week.
YT Sparty, you're killing me in the comments today.
Rough week.
That Penny was only averaging 10 yards a carry. That's not too bad.
man, he was unstoppable today. Really harken back to some Lion teams of old that, we weren't used to our defense getting run over like we saw today. I think we were kind of lulled into thinking that this was a really good defensive unit, maybe even a top 15 unit, because statistically that's where they were kind of lining up.
Right.
But I also think that a lot of teams come into games against Detroit, and that's kind of the game plan, and it's typically we have quick games. We talked about it before we got on air. This is not a quick game.
And that's what I think made this even more excruciating of a loss is coming out of the third quarter, you have the ball, you got a chance to get back in the game. We turn it over. They score an immediate touchdown, and it sets the tone. But then you get the onside kick, then the review of the onside kick, then the referee is injured, and it was literally the clock was stuck on 10 minutes at the third quarter for probably about 20 minutes. And me and Sawyer are just sitting here listen, we're getting our ass beat right now. Can we not prolong this? It hurts to get your ass beat that long, and you're just sitting there waiting for it again. Come on, let's speed this thing up.
Yeah, it's like getting broken up with and then forced to rewatch the video of it, man. It was a long game. It was a brutal one. Lions really look bad on both sides of the ball, and to be quite honest with you, there's a couple of trends that are concerning to me as we fail out of the season here. And one of them is the offensive line. Where did it go this last 2 days? Is it just a result of not having Jared Goff there so that every defense knows that we're not going to do anything past 15, 20, 25 yards?
I mean, that's got something to do with it. It has to, right?
I hope so, because they were really moving players around for a lot of weeks there and able to do pretty much anything that they wanted with the run game. And we didn't see that last week, and we saw even less of it this week.
Right.
And the others is how good is this defense? Because are they really being pressed? If we were a competitive in a playoff team, would we be seeing the same types of schemes played against our defense? I don't think that we would. But at the same time, this season's almost over. I just am concerned about the way that these two very important aspects of our team and organization have gone at the end here.
Well, let's be honest. We really didn't address the defense in this offseason. I mean, nope. we had a couple late draft picks that addressed it, but we didn't really attack the defense.
Nope.
And when Jeff Okudah goes down early in the season, not that he's a game changer, but he was supposedly going to take a step forward this season. And we weren't
penciled
healthy.
in heavy,
Yeah, we weren't healthy on that side of the ball. So that's where, to me, in the draft and free agency next year, we got to go hard. Outside of needing a true number one wide receiver on offense, I think we got some things figured out on that side of the ball, right? Defense, we're a mess.
And I got to be honest with you, I feel like we're transitioning into draft talk at this point. Is that safe?
No, let's not do that just yet.
Okay.
Let's still stay on the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we need to refuel a lot of positions that were absolutely exposed today. We do have some other guys, or Warrior and other players that are just out, and we need every single playmaker that we have in order to be able to get a chance to stay in and win these games. And we were exposed today. We have a lack of talent overall, and now with some of the injuries and things that we've seen at the end of the season, it really shows how thin the cupboards are, or bare they are.
Well, we do have some talent, and that's pretty much to do with Brad Holmes drafting. I mean,
no
Penei Sewell, talent, right? Iffy? Iffy. A little bit iffy. Then, of course, the guy that has shown that he was Rookie of the Month last month, and he put on another show today, Amon-Ra St. Brown. What more can you say about him? I mean, he scored a touchdown passing and rushing today. The guy's just... He does it all, right? Can he play quarterback?
He set a record today with 5 straight games over 80 yards as a rookie. First time ever. The guy, he's doing everything for the Lions. I mean, he scored a touchdown out of the backfield today, was moving the chains left and right as he has been for the last couple months, and just, laying blocks. The guy's so fun to watch.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite pieces of tape of him coming out of USC was a huge block that he had downfield. And, blocking wide receivers make your team so much better in so many other ways, like Hines Ward and all those guys you think back to. And, you would even talk to Calvin Johnson, and even Joik Bell will tell you. Joik Bell will say, all my big runs came when wide receivers were blocking downfield. And so that aspect of his game we really haven't even talked about. But this guy, I mean, there's nothing he can't do. Over the past, 5 games, he's been a true number one when he shouldn't be a number one. He's a great 3, but he's our number one.
He might really just be a lot better than you want to give him credit for, because we're all kind of caught up in this thinking of, you got to have the guy who's 6'4" and lights up the gym speed-wise. And, that's why he slipped to the 4th, because he didn't have a tremendous speed score. But when you look at all the intangibles and hands and guts and grit, you can't measure those, and you can't emphasize how important they are enough.
Sawyer, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdowns. Well, let's see this young man at work.
Crazy.
Here's the draw play to him, which I love this now, because now they're going to start getting creative, lining him up as a running back. Maybe we do some wildcat with him. But obviously the Lions down 17-0 there. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, baby.
What was that dance move there? Do you know?
A little cha-cha,
Okay.
little cha-cha.
Well, that was a hard cha-cha.
And then, of course, his second touchdown of the game came on this 7-yard pass. Nice. That was almost exactly like the touchdown that we won the game with against the Vikings.
Absolutely.
So kind of the same play, but still him in those intermediate routes where he can get in front of the linebacker and just find that spot in the zone and sit down. He's really, really good at that. Yeah,
he's a magnet to open space, and both quarterbacks seem to absolutely look for him. A lot of times you see a backup get a rapport with a kind of a third or fourth string guy, and it's because they were playing together a lot in practice. And it doesn't matter at this point who is throwing him the rock. They are looking at him constantly. He's a chain mover. He's a playmaker. And it's really, really exciting to have him playing at this height just in his first year, man.
Yeah, and that's why I'm, not looking forward to the offseason, but, looking to the offseason, and we can get into the draft a little bit if you want. I have a lot of trust in Brad Holmes finding the right guy, because I specifically remember when we drafted Penei Sewell, they showed a video of the war room, and people were asking him, we need a wide receiver, and he was like, we're good. The guy we like is still out there, and the guy we liked was Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he got his man strategically, as well as compiling great assets before that.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to see more of that, both in free agency and in the draft. We don't necessarily have to get to the draft at this point, talking about it wise, but I don't believe that the wide receiver position is as big of a pressing need as we believe, as the Lion fans believe.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it sure be nice to have a Jamar Chase.
Sure, but
Justin Jefferson.
I really don't think that they're going to go out and chase it.
A DK Metcalf.
I don't think you're going to see a high value placed on getting one of those guys early. I think that they're going to be completely okay with waiting a little bit. I think they're going to be completely okay with adding, some medium players, that some veteran guys that can help through free agency. They are all about building this team from the trenches, I believe. I think that Lions fans are going to not like it. They're going to want to see the splashy name and the sexy 6-footer, 6'5" guy catching balls. But we are going to see more Penei Sewell type players. We're going to see more nose tackle defensive ends. We're going to see them pour in on the offensive line. And this year, like neglected last year, as you brought up earlier, they're going to pour a lot of attention into the defense.
And that leads me to a little bit of college. What did you think of Hutchinson's performance in the bowl game?
I mean, listen. I've been real quiet.
Why I'm asking like that is because it was abysmal.
Yeah, I've been very quiet, obviously, because I don't want to denigrate the Wolverines season. They've had a fantastic one.
Oh, really? You don't?
Well, no, but I do want to celebrate some guys that actually won their bowl game. Go Green. That team played on a lot of emotional high this season, and I don't believe that some of the players coming out of that program are quite as impactful as Michiganders would like to think.
Right.
And I think it would be a classic Lions mistake to go and try and get somebody like Aiden Hutchinson just because it's going to sell some tickets. As great as he is and he could be, I do think that there's guys with higher ceilings, and that's what you have to swing for when you're drafting in the top 5 positions of a draft.
And the guy with the higher ceiling is Thibodeau, honestly.
Absolutely.
If you're going between those two, that's where I leaned earlier in the season. Then after what I saw in that bowl game, it's like, listen, I would really hate if the Lions draft Hutchinson and he's a flop. It's one thing if he's successful somewhere else, but he may be successful here. But if he comes here and it's a flop, you're almost doubling down.
It really is.
And it seems like you just drafted him because he plays an hour up the road, not really because you did your due diligence. And granted, dude was a second finalist for the Heisman, and he destroyed a lot of offensive tackles this year that play college football. But when the lights were on in the biggest moment.
Yeah. When the 5-star's hands were in the mud, man, we saw who was who.
Yeah, and I just have some concerns with that. He's a hell of a player. Don't get it twisted. I don't think he's going to drop anywhere out of the top 5. But I'm just saying I have a little more reservation after what I saw.
Yeah, it's certainly not the slam dunk number 1, number 2 pick that everybody in town thinks that he is. He definitely was exposed. Ajabi was exposed. Both these guys have slid down draft boards. There's a really great offensive, prospect, or offensive tackle prospect
out
there.
Of Iowa?
I was talking about Evan Neal.
I was talking about the kid from Iowa.
And he's great too, but then you've also got, it's Kyle Hamilton. He's got such a normal name, but the kid from Notre Dame, who's just a
safety,
crazy safety.
We can't go DB at that.
I was just going to ask you Derek Stingley. Would you
from
go
LSU, the LSU kid?
Would you go at a quarterback? Or a cornerback that early?
After we just got burnt doing it? No. But we're the Lions. We drafted wide receivers high as hell 3 times in a row, and it ended up getting us a Hall of Famer. So,
True.
That's what's so weird about it. We did dumb things in the past, but it kind of if I gave you said, hey, 33% of your draft picks are going to be Hall of Famers, you'd be like, all right.
That paid off for Canton, not for the Lions.
Yeah, it did pay off for the Lions. What are you talking about? It paid off for me. It paid off for everybody watching right now. The memories, the pride you have for Calvin Johnson doesn't pay off for you?
I'd rather have playoff wins than Calvin Johnson.
Well, we don't, but we do have Calvin Johnson.
And that's the thing. No, you know what? That's what's been normalized as a Lions fan. That's crap, man.
It's not crap.
It is.
We got to root for one of the best wide receivers of all time.
I'd rather be watching playoff games. All right? And if you draft correctly at those points
when we had Caldwell,
instead of Mike Williams and all the trash that we took up top, maybe we actually win some playoff games during that time.
So now you're bringing Mike Williams into this? That had nothing to do with Calvin Johnson.
You had just said 3 straight, number 1 picks at wide receiver.
And one's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and the fact that we took 3 and 2 of them were so bad, maybe if we actually had something to show for those guys, we might have had some playoff wins instead of just talking about a guy who was so good that he left us in his prime because we were so bad.
Yeah, but y'all still love yourself some Barry Sanders, and he did the same damn thing.
Well, listen.
No, actually, Barry was worse. Calvin at least gave us an offseason to try to supplement and bring in Marvin Hall or
still
Marvin Jones.
That one.
Oh, I'll always be bitter. He broke up with me through fax, a fax machine from Europe. What is that? I get it was way before cell phones and all that, but
do we know what country he was in Europe?
I don't know. I don't care. The fact that he waited till training camp, sent a fax, to me. And this may be going way over the top with it, but, that's what set the Lions on this 20, 30 years of bullshit. Because we didn't have time to recover. We didn't have time to replace. We couldn't get assets for them. You're scrambling the next year we don't have Barry Sanders. We don't have. You want to play running back? We don't have Barry Sanders. And then we try to bring in guys like James Stewart.
Then we try to say that's what set us back 20 years.
When Barry was here, we were competing for the playoffs every year. After Barry left, what did we do? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sure.
We went 0-16.
So, you can't blame their lack of preparation for his departure on Barry Sanders. It's a Lions problem.
It's not that he left. It's how he left. It's not that he left. It's how he left.
And that is more indicative of the Lions than anything.
I get that, but it doesn't matter. Like, no matter how somebody treats you shouldn't dictate how you respond. Just because you're being shitty to me doesn't mean that I have to undercut my entire roster.
If your husband beats your ass your whole relationship, are you supposed to go and leave him a Dear John letter and hey, here's a hug, goodbye? No, you just get the hell out of there.
So now Barry was abused here. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
What are you talking about?
He had Pro Bowl offensive linemen. He had Herman Moore. What are you talking about?
Calvin Johnson went out the same way, and he hates the franchise in the same way.
And that's fine. Hate the franchise. What Calvin did, he didn't go to Europe and send a fax. He said, you know what, guys, this is my last year. I'm retiring. And they're like, okay, we got to go find a supplement for Calvin. And we didn't have a tremendous fall off after he left. Like, you can't argue what actually happened in history. It happened.
I can argue that the Lions have normalized preferring a player over a franchise because this franchise has been so bad for so long, and you're so unused to winning that as long as you got one guy you can buy his jersey and be excited and proud to wear it, then you're a proud Lions fan, and that's bullshit. The Lions have been fucking us for years, and I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of people getting all excited about him and loving him because we had a Calvin Johnson and we had Barry Sanders. So what? They didn't win us anything.
And I'll give you that. Like, the reason why Calvin
and I love you both.
The reason why Calvin means so much to us is because we have to latch ourselves onto one guy here as Lions fans.
Yep.
You know, I did the same thing when Ndamukong Suh was here. You latch yourself onto those guys, but it leads to nothing but heartbreak, Anson. They leave. They never stay around. We can't get that playoff dub. Like, it's been a rough go.
It's a rough deal being a Lions fan, man.
It is a rough go.
The Honolulu Blues.
Hey, Larry says, Barry owes me nothing. You're right. He doesn't owe me anything. What he owed is his teammates.
Is that a
what
thing?
He owed is everybody that supported him and got him to there. Like, we're teammates. I'm never going to just send you a fax right before this show and be like, sorry, bro, you're on your own. Sorry. I'm in Europe. Not going to make it.
We don't know if he didn't contact any of it.
Yes, we do. The story is out. Like, we know the story. We know the story.
But we don't know if he didn't afterwards call up his buddies on the team and be like, hey, bro, sorry about that.
I hope he did. You're right.
Too.
You're right. I don't know that.
And if Barry was really responsible to his teammates and his offensive linemen, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did. We don't know that part of the story. And to be quite honest with you, if I'm, you don't get to spin the story if you're Barry Sanders. The guys who get to spin the story and tell them how it went is the Lions. We don't know what really happened. I'm sorry, but
I don't know what really happened.
When you chase out the best running back and the best wide receiver of all time, who's it about?
You're missing my point.
I'm not mad at Barry, bro.
It's just like if you're somebody that, like, you cheat on all your wives, right?
I'm not mad at Barry, bro. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. How can you even be mad at Sawyer's over there? He ain't mad at Barry.
Sawyer hates Barry.
No, he doesn't.
He's a Colts fan.
So what? If you watch that kid run, you'd know.
Yeah, either way, I mean, it's water under the bridge, but...
Did he just drop the Colts on us?
Yeah, he's a Colt. He's from Indy. What's wrong with that,
fair.
man? Like, listen, if I moved anywhere, I'm not going to be like, yeah, you're right, I am a Colts fan.
I'm in a Lions mood right now, okay?
Yeah, so. You are in a mood today. You're dropping
You're calling out Barry.
Yeah, I'm calling him out for what he did.
I'll drop an F-bomb for Barry.
Let's get to some of the other game highlights. Can we get to Taylor Decker's touchdown just to have something awesome to watch real quick?
At what point in practice do you say, all right, offensive linemen, line up, we're going to figure out who's got the best hands? Is that a deal? Does that happen?
I mean, they probably had the jugs machine out there. Like, these linemen love to play football, man. That's what these guys are. They're football players. Like, of anybody on the field, linemen are football dudes. And that's why Dan Campbell, I love that he rewards these guys.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
You'll get more out of your linemen just by giving a little cup of sugar here and there than anything else.
That was a ballsy throw. Ballsy throw.
Well, they tried to throw it to the lineman right before that, and it got knocked out. So, but I love that Dan Campbell doubled down and went right back to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those are the little things.
He has confidence, Boyle. I'll give him that.
Yeah. He's not afraid to fail. And that's, honestly, in life and in anything that you do. You can't be afraid to fail, period.
No, I'm really excited to see what this guy does with his second year.
Yeah.
I really am. The attitude that he was able to maintain in the locker room and on the field was resilient and fun to watch. Despite all the losses, I'd say, 4 games have been pretty hard to watch, but other than that, it's been a pretty enjoyable season to watch. And I imagine when we mix a little more winning up with this Lions attitude, and it is a new Lions attitude, I'm excited to see how that brews out next year.
So, in your honest opinion, now that we can kind of look back on the season in retrospect, do you think it was more of a talent issue or a coaching issue, or 50-50?
I think you can't say that it wasn't a coaching issue. The guy made mistakes, but he brought a different approach to not only the offense but the defense here that we haven't seen maybe ever. So I think that the coaching certainly got better, and I think that the players certainly got better. But the cupboards were pretty bare to begin with. We didn't have a whole lot. We lost a lot of guys during the season, but other guys stepped up, and that was equally as important as seeing the best players here perform at a high level, seeing the Amon-Ra St. Brown progress from a guy that might not be getting a whole lot of playing time all the way to Mr. Netflix himself.
That was nice. Yep. It was nice to find those guys. But you wonder how much they're going to contribute next year. Like, you can be a contributor on a bad team. Can you be a contributor on a good team? Remember a guy that played basketball named Ricky Davis?
I do.
Dude was a stud when he was the only player on a bad team. Putting up triple-doubles.
Remember when he missed it?
Yeah, he hit the bottom of the rim to get an extra rebound just for a triple-double.
They took that away from him. You know that?
Good. But that's what kind of scares me sometimes about like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you're seeing him break tackles, you're seeing him get open, so that's a little different, but it's just really strange. Whenever you're a bad team, somebody's got to get numbers, right? Like, somebody's got to score touchdowns.
I don't think Craig's going to be here blasting through the offensive line next season, running the ball, but I do think that there's some young guys that we saw that their performances were definitely indicative of what we're going to see in the future. Amon-Ra St. Brown being on top of that list, but the fact that we were able to have players at that level of depth that were able to come in and perform tells me that this guy is able to keep players not only ready but inspired to play, but he's also able to identify that talent all the way down to the point where a guy that can come up watching Netflix and sign off the practice squad and be as effective as he has says a lot for the regime in its totality.
Yeah, I like the way we're trending. Obviously, you'd want some more wins, but at the same time, you kind of don't because you want that draft equity.
No doubt.
I'm not a big we have to lose to, like, I prefer winning over draft equity always. I think winning's more important than who you draft.
Let's do that right now. So we're sitting at the second spot.
Yeah, I think we locked it in today. We can fall no lower than second today.
Well, I mean, if the Jaguars win next week and we lose, they'd be ahead of us, right?
They're still ahead of us.
Well, no, I'm saying
we got the one tie.
But they have no ties, and they have two wins. We have 2 wins and 1 tie. So we're actually a better team than them right now. If we were to lose and they were to win next week, it's possible we could jump into the number 1. But we are locked into either 1 or 2 at this point.
Right.
My question is, if we don't end up with the number 1 and we end up as the second best team, after the question you asked me, how confident are you in Aiden Hutchinson after the performance over the weekend? Are you starting to look at guys like Hamilton and Neal and others? Or are these 2 guys locked in?
Well, you're thinking the Jaguars, no matter what, if they're the number 1 pick, they're not going to take a defensive pass rusher. They're probably going to take a lineman or somebody to help out Trevor Lawrence.
Maybe.
That's what traditional thinking would be. So you'd think we'd still have our pick at the defensive lineman or the linebacker in Thibodeau. I like Thibodeau just because you can use him more places. Look at a Micah Parsons. Not saying he is Micah Parsons. I'm just saying look at how you can use him. Right. I like that just because it gives you more flexibility. And right now, we need some Swiss Army knives because we don't really have any.
No,
we got guys that
on the defensive side of the
can
ball.
somewhat silo out to a position, but outside of that, they're lost.
Yep.
Let's take a look at some of the tweets throughout the course of the game today. These were fun to pull today. Normally,
it was an ugly one.
It got ugly early, and everybody was kind of on the same thing. Our boy Foxy, the Lions are getting their ass kicked, and that's it. I mean, that was pretty much the consensus. Everybody was just telling it like it is. Shane Budd here. Well, it's a blowout. Hashtag one pride. Why does Blau continue to not get a chance? Is he hurt? And I pulled this tweet because that is literally a question that we were talking about at the bar here at Brass Rail. Blau was 2 on the depth chart this year.
Yep.
whenever Goff is out, it's Boyle that they go to. I don't understand that. Why don't you just put Boyle 2 on the depth chart, and then I won't ask questions?
Yeah, Blau, how you like me now? We thought we were going to get a chance to see him pretty early on when Goff was out, and at no point have we really gotten a chance. I think he has played a couple snaps, right?
Yeah, early.
Yeah, I think he played a couple snaps, but I think they're both trash, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, there you go.
Sure.
Watching a team run down your team's throat is pure torture. Yeah. And it was. It was literally a Rocky moment where you just wanted to throw in the towel. I don't care if the Lions win or lose ever again. I never want to see another Tim Boyle game again.
I'll second that.
You're with that?
Yep. I mean, hey, he was a pretty good game manager today, but the Lions defense did not give him an opportunity. He actually, he put in, 29 points up?
I love this tweet. The announcer just said, I guess Sierra saw the future in Russell Wilson. And clearly, I don't think they meant that, but my goodness, you gotta know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't think it's in Seattle, that future.
During halftime, I'm turning the game off. And
but did you, Dylan? I bet you didn't.
And honestly, Dylan, if you did, you would have felt a little bit better if you left the game on, because they came out and actually played their ass off in that third quarter.
Third quarter was a nice quarter. A long but a nice quarter.
Those 3 throws by Boyle, miscommunication, wrong read, no chemistry with a wide receiver. I don't care, because those throws were bad. And that's the thing with Boyle. He's got the rocket arm, just no accuracy.
Yeah, and he seems to just really overlook mid-level defenders often.
Here we go. Can St. Brown play quarterback? Let's try it. I tweeted out, let's put Jack Fox in.
For sure.
Every time I leave the room and then come back, the Seahawks have scored another touchdown. The only Seattle scoring play I've seen is a field goal. Have you ever had one of those games where you're at home watching, and every time you walk back in, your team's just getting their teeth kicked in?
Honestly, today kind of was that game for me. I was doing a lot of listening to it, and I kept wanting to just turn it off because I kept hearing us getting our teeth kicked in. And then you'd go in to kind of turn it off, and then, maybe. But no, not today.
Well, let's move on. Next week, we got the one, the only Green Bay Packers coming to town. Last home game at Ford Field. We're going to be here at the Brass Rail. Once again, you're all invited to come down and hang out. It's the last game of the season, so it's the last time we get to see you, and really just appreciate all the support that you guys have given us over this entire season. This has been a rough season to get through.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been there watching us cry after the Justin Tucker field goal. You've been there watching us pop some bottles of champagne.
Well, you were crying.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I was crying a lot this year. Sawyer, this week, can we pull all the game reactions and mash them up for next week? Sawyer's going to edit it? Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'll pull the clips. You can edit it. But
there will be tears on one side of the lens either way.
We got to mash them up because, it's this a lot. Like, I caught myself because I go back and watch these things, and there's a lot of me going like this and a lot of me going like this.
I think there is. There's a lot of me laughing.
Yeah, there's a lot of you looking at me in pain as my friend and just laughing at me.
Well, and it's like when you whack yourself on the door frame, and I know you're going to be okay, but that's what you get for being 6'2".
I'm 6'4", thank you.
Wow. Are you really?
Yeah. God, are we going to do this now? You don't believe I could throw a football.
Well, that's happening next week, isn't it? Is that happening next week?
Yeah, it can happen out here. I got the football in the car.
It better.
So we could try that anytime.
It better.
But, next week, take it on the Packers. We're going to be here at the Brass Rail. Make sure you come hang out. You got a quick prediction for that? Or
I think this one's going to be one of those games that the Lions could win. That's the way they do. They could come out and get a win at the end here and make sure we don't get the number 1 pick. But we always play the Packers interestingly. And then a certain Aaron Rodgers always rips our heart out at the end of the game. So
right.
I'd have to say the Packers, right?
I don't know. Honestly, next week to me is a coin flip. We got to see what happens tonight with the Packers. If they can win, then obviously they've locked in that number 1 seed. So they're playing for nothing next week. And we've been there before with the Lions. Even when they're playing with nothing, their backups come in and kick our ass. So
we could use a fun day down here, too. A W would make it great. It'll still be fun, though.
Yeah, but I could see Dan Campbell, riling the troops for one last hurrah. Guys, this has been a trying season. It's been tough. We've made it through, but this is our last stand. This is our home crowd, even though it's probably going to be 70% Packers fans in there.
Could be.
Yeah, that's usually how it is when the Packers play
Yep.
here, which sucks. I can't wait till we get to a point to where opposing teams can't buy tickets. Like, it's so expensive for them to get into Ford Field.
But with, even with the cheeseheads in the building, it really creates a raucous environment, and I think the Lions tend to respond to that. I think the Lions are going to come to play. I can predict that with safety. But whether we can walk out with the W or not, it isn't so much as important as how we play and finish the season out. And I'm not really worried about that. I think normally with most Lions teams, I would expect this to just us to get stepped on out there. That's the one thing I can pretty much guarantee we won't see is this team go out and quit in Week 18.
Well, we'll find out next week, man. It's the last week of the Lions season. I cannot believe it's gone by this fast. I was talking to Scott Spellman earlier, like, my goodness, when we were talking before the season about these after parties and this, we had some high hopes for the Lions at that time. No, it didn't come to fruition, but we went viral several times, and every home game has just been fun here because people come here and party. If we win, it's a party.
Really,
if we lose, everybody's like, let's drown the sorrows and party. Yeah. So
the Cardinal game was a blast, man.
Oh, that was.
I would love another taste of that on next week against the Packers.
Oh, I would take a Packers win too. Yeah, it's always good to beat the Pack whenever you can.
No doubt.
So we will see you next week live from the Brass Rail. This is where we are after every Lions home game. Come on down, eat some pizza, have some beers, do some shots, and we will see you next week as the Lions take on the Packers. Woodward and Adams is where we're at. It's the Woodward Sports Network. We are out for the night. Have a safe trip home, Anson. Happy New Year, everybody, too, by the way. Hey, Happy New Year.
2022, eh?
Yeah, here we are. Let's go.
I was hoping to be winless. Perfect.
Undefeated.
Yeah. We are winless.
We are winless. So you got your hope.
Well, see ya.